Hello, lovely people, and welcome to another Galactic Mayan astrology report. This is a report for Wednesday, the 28th of February. Totally lost what month we were in then, 2024. And yeah, it's a really exciting time. Really exciting times. A few things that I'm going to cover in this video. I'm going to talk about the wave spell. I'm going to talk about the second day out of time that happens on day 2 of the wave spell. And I'm also going to share with you a donation-based online event that we're running on the 29th of February. So to begin with, this 9-month, 260-day human evolution spin that is the Zolkin, Galactic Mayan astrology and the Dreamspell framework is focused on this 260-day or 9-month process of evolution that works with 20 different archetypes. On the 28th of February, we are in the center of the process. We're in the center, the core piece of what it is to be an evolving human. And that is the first day of the 13-day process of the blue monkey. Okay, so the blue monkey energy is about the child, the divine child. We are the divine child. We are the birthing of consciousness. We are a fractal of existence. We are a child of existence. We're a child of all that is. We're a child of the universe. And there's so many pieces, and the blue monkey energy, it's really interesting. So like when you look at your Galactic Mayan astrology, you can look up your birth date on the Law of Time website. I'll put a link below. And then when you Google what you find, there'll be an Astro Dream Advisor page that you can look at, and it breaks down your core sign and then the surrounding energies. So each person has got their core sign, and one of the elements of the energies that we all inhabit or exhibit is a shadow sign, and the shadow becomes the gift. And the shadow in my sign is blue monkey, so I know this energy quite well. And it's really interesting because the core facet of the blue monkey energy, this core of the human process, this core of the human being, is magic and play. And I've spent the majority of my adult life studying, facilitating, and advocating for play. And play is what humans do when they're not being told what to do. So what we have in this central archetype, what we have in this central aspect of who we are, what we have in this wave spell, is this archetype which embodies the energy of freedom. And when we're free, we're playing. It's not about the future planning. It's not about the forecasting. It's not about the fear. It's not about the story. It's about present moment connection and flow. So the energy of the blue monkey this year is happening at an extremely potent time. And I'm going to loop back to telling you more about the blue monkey energy after sharing with you a really huge synchronicity. So this year, because we have the 29th of February, it's the year that the Gregorian calendar has decided is the leap year. But what's incredibly fascinating is that this leap year, this leap day, happens this year on the second day of the wave spell. So it's within the center point of the human evolution process. Now, in Galactic Mayan astrology, what we have when there's a leap year is a second day out of time. So every year within Galactic Mayan astrology, because we have the 260-day spin and we have the 13 moon experience. With the 13 moon yearly experience, what we find is that we have, if we were to go by equal days of the moons, 28-day moons, 13 moons with an extra day. And that extra day is celebrated on the 25th of July every year and is called the day out of time. because Galactic New Year is on the 26th of July, when Sirius rises in the sky. So on the 25th of July, we have this day out of time, and there's a video that I made that I cringe about a lot, because it was like in my early days of fucking YouTube, and yeah, I'm just like, oh. But it's got really sharp information about what day out of time is. But just briefly, you know, when we talk about time in this dimension, time is essentially like the slavery code. How much money can you make for your hour? How much productivity can you complete within an hour? How much can you gain from this segment? What the Galactic Mayan framework is inviting us into is synchronistic time. Time is art, time is creation, time is synchronicity and spaciousness and moment. So on the day out of time, because we are aware that we live in this dimensional reality, it's a day where we kind of down tools when it comes to, you know, even if we aren't necessarily gridded into the 9-to-5 slavery matrix, if we are, which I'm just coming out of, I had like my first real descent into, and now coming out of and fuck me sideways. No. Personally. Not for me, thanks. Pass. I'll share more about that when the time is right. But even if we're not living within that matrix, even if we're operating from a place of like time is evolution, you know, the human experience is about evolution. On the day out of time, we put everything down and we're like, yo, it's actually sick to be here. Like, let's grid out of the duality matrix for a bit. To have an embodied experience of consciousness is sick as fuck. And let's praise the creator and let's praise the earth, you know, the spirit and the earth for the opportunity to have this experience. And that's what the day out of time is all about. So it's super duper cool that we have this once in a 4-year cycle day out of time, extra day out of time, that happens in the center of the Zolkin. So we have like day 1 of Blue Magnetic Monkey, which happens on the 28th of February. And then we have a day out of time. We have a celebratory moment. So like the Blue Monkey energy is all about play, all about magic. So I'll loop back now into, before I loop back fully. So on the 29th, which, you know, if you watch this on the first day of the WAVESPELL, it's tomorrow, we are going to be hosting at 8 p.m. UK time, a donation-based celebration. So I'm going to do, it's going to be through Toto Futures, me and Taco. We're going to facilitate a little initiation into the day out of time energy. And then I work with ecstatic dance. So I'm going to guide everybody through the tunes to like a banging wave of movement. We're actually, you know, it's part of the Cosmic Quest crew. It's like the weekly call for the Cosmic Quest. It's our like internal party, but we're opening the doors. So yeah, how will I do it? I'll pop the Toto Futures PayPal link below. Whatever you can give is super cool, but we need to honor that, you know, the law of exchange. Pop us some over, and then the email address that you send your donation over to, I will then email you the Zoom link for the event. Tell your mates, come get some like heart human activation, 8 p.m. till 9:30 p.m, 29th UK time on Zoom. Activation, ecstatic dance, boom. So, the Blue Monkey energy. Nestled within the Blue Monkey energy is the second day out of time. And the reason that that's so profound is because of the essence of the Blue Monkey. So the Blue Monkey is all about the child of the universe, play and magic. Okay, so if we are clear, if we'd never experienced the conditioning of this dimension, if we'd never been traumatized, we would remain in the state of creator consciousness, the state that every baby beams in at. You know, this like super present, super explorative and inquisitive fascination with existence. And that's what the blue monkey energy invites us to access. It's like, how can we return to the state of children? How can we return to our experience of this life being that it's a playground? How can we drop into a state of like, life is, you know, there might be shit kicking off on the other side of the playground, but I'm fascinated by this worm that I've just made friends with. And I'm like, whoa, like the way that you move is crazy cool. The way that you look is totally bonkers. Like, how can we access that? What needs to happen? And, you know, just imagine a humanity that was anchored in that vibration. But the shadow, as there is always a shadow of the blue monkey, you know, is chunky because it's about our inner children. You know, it's what is in the way of us being in childlike innocence, what is in the way of us being in awe and magic, you know, and that's the weight of this dimension. And this dimension at present is fucking heavy, you know, to be switched on to feeling whilst the world is operating in such a disembodied state, particularly the West, but the way that that West energy is like infiltrated the world, it's hardcore. So what we might find, or what the challenge is really, is like, you know, how, even when the world's fucking burning, how do we access that realm of play? How do we truly drop into that feeling of like, energy is never created, nor is it destroyed. So even though human characters might come in and out of existence, existence is existence. So on one level, it is all a show, it is all a game. And that's not to take away from, you know, being devoted to making this reality the most loving reflection that it can be. It's not to take away from the grief and the horror of what it means, but it's just that like zoom out to be like, okay, this is what's unfolding right now for the purpose of evolution, so that consciousness can understand the implications of duality as opposed to unity, so that consciousness can consciously make its way back to unity. If we can kind of hold that, then there's more space for us to drop into that playful, childlike, connected experience of existence. So our invitation is to find that state, but what will probably come up for us, what's likely to come up for us, is everything that's in the way, you know, and our little beings inside of us, the children that we were, went through a lot of shit. And again, like the initiation of this dimension is like wonky as fuck, or strong as fuck, because the dimension's wonky as fuck at the moment. And maybe we're just spread through too many dimensions at once. But because we're also working with the child code, you know, the tender parts and the vulnerabilities of our inner children can be activated at this time. So the kind of invitation that we've given, because every week we send out the astrology to the Cosmic Quest crew, and the invitation that we've kind of given this week is about play. Like, you know, what can you do during the next 13 days to access play? Like, where does your creator state or flow mode exist? We all have access to it. Like for me, it's in like research. When I'm like researching or writing, boof, 7 hours have gone and I don't know where the fuck they've gone. For some people it's music, for some people it's painting. I also get it with dance. Some people it's singing. You know, what it's creativity. You know, it's when we're in that vibe, that play presence. What is that state for you? You know, and it's, you know, it can be a receiving of creativity, it can be listening to music, it can be immersed in something. But where do you access that state, and how can you give yourself permission to play in that, this wave spell? And you know, it's really cool. And this is what I mean in terms of like the day out of time happening on the second day of the wave spell. It's like, whoa, planetary party on the second day. Well, it's, yeah, on the second day of the wave spell. So yeah, but just give space for, yeah, the inner child, really. And you know, one of the big shadows within all of this energy is around control. So this whole realm teaches us to be the orchestrator. And you know, I think with children and the state of, you know, like the state of like meditative state, really, there is an element of surrender to the moment. There's a presence. And sometimes due to the experiences that we've had when we were little, there's like that desire to like manage everything, and like the management takes away the play. And this is one of the reasons that I'm like a children's rights activist, because you know, my thing within children's rights, it's human rights. It's like, this is the initiation to the human experience. So if that's wonky, then what's going to be created? And what's happening in the modern world is the opportunity for young people to be in that space of surrender and trust and not being externally managed. Play, you know, is becoming less and less and less. And the implications of that are massive, you know, for young people not to have the opportunity to be trusted independently, to go and do things when they're not being observed and monitored. You know, it's going to have a really massive impact. There's a lot of research about it. But for us, you know, how can we permit ourselves to play? How can we not know what's going to happen? It's like you get the paints out and you might make a fucking mess. You're not looking at an image to copy. You're just painting. And holy shit, you've ended up with a big brown piece of fucking paper. But the process, the layers, the connection, the sensation that you went through, that's the key. And that's what play is about. Play is not a final destination. Play is not a creation. Play is an experience of presence in the moment. And that's really what Blue Monkey invites us. It's about presence. Because when we're present in this dimension, when we're present in the moment, it's magic. It's magic, and it's creativity, and it's playful. You know, when we're really in our bodies, in our connections, in the moment, it's play. And that is, you know, that is what is at the core of the Blue Monkey. And with the Blue Monkey being the central point of the human evolution journey, it's the central point of humanity. But if we look at, you know, it just fascinates me. One of the big things that when I was studying, one of the big things that came up in my research was about like how we've got this like productivity narrative. So children come away from play and be productive. And then the whole world is built on productivity. Like, how are you productive? What do you do for your productivity that gives you your golden tokens? And actually, you know, when we look at it through this framework and we're like, oh shit, the core of the human experience is play, and then we're fucking yanking kids out of it from the word go, it's like, oh shit, it's no wonder we're so tangled. We've lost that like presence. And the other piece of, you know, the child, it's like having that masculine and feminine energy alive. And this is another thing that I wanted to mention. So Taco and I, through Toto Futures, are doing a retreat. And the retreat is called the Merlin and the Magdalene. And we're going to be spending 4 days together in May. 3 days are going to be spent in Tintagel in Cornwall, which is the home of Merlin. And then we're going to move on the 4th day to Glastonbury, to Avalon. We've chosen or channeled to work with the Merlin and the Magdalene energy as representations of the masculine and feminine. So this mystical masculine coupled with this deeply embodied priestess, shadow owning feminine. And the two have got a lot of threads connecting them through stories. But there's also like the Glastonbury piece is the home of the Magdalene. Allegedly, like that is where the Holy Grail of Christ was taken to. So we're taking this like Merlin activation to Glastonbury. And the piece of, you know, the Holy Grail and this masculine and feminine. So in the retreat, we're going to be journeying to really bring online our inner masculine and really bring online our inner feminine. And then what that creates is the Holy Grail, is the chalice, is the divine child. So the blue monkey being in the center of the process, the masculine and the feminine, it's all the threads and all the codes are very interwoven, but you're very welcome to come on the retreat. And you know, there's some people from different countries that are considering joining us for it because yeah, it's like it's a really like the Merlin history is strong, you know, and like the Magdalene as well. It's like I think there's such an interesting link between the Merlin lineage of the history of the lands of Albion, of the UK, you know, our like heritage, our mystical heritage being kind of forgotten. You know, if you speak to someone from the UK about our Indigenous heritage, but like the Merlin energy, the King Arthur energy, and the myths around like Avalon and Glastonbury, like that is our Indigenous mystical thread. And then we've got the Magdalene lineage that was eradicated from Christianity. So we've got these like two buried mystical threads that can guide us to these like archetypal awakenings within. So anyway, I'll link that bit below. Come, it's gonna be fucking cool. But the reason that I mentioned that is because I want to tell you about it, because we now told the world about it, but also because it really links in with this divine child. It's like, in order for the blue monkey energy to be permitted, in order for our inner children to be permitted to exist in play, our inner masculine and feminine, our inner parents have to be able to permit that child within to feel safe within reality, to play, to not need to manage, to not need to dissociate. It's like this, because I guess, yeah, the shadow really of the masculine and feminine is dissociation, control. So when those pieces feel at peace, then that playful aspect of us can come online and we feel safe to be present and in the moment. So 29th, donation-based party online, 8 o'clock till 9:30 UK time. Send us a little donation, even if it's a tiny kiss, and I will send you the Zoom link. It's going to be really beautiful. Make sure you wear comfy clothes and also have decent sound if you need decent sound to dance, because there's going to be movements. I'm not going to tell you how to move, I'm just going to play the tunes. These 13 days, central column, inner child might feel a bit sore, but how can you find play, creativity, and the magic of existence? All right, darlings. I think that's all for now. Big love.